Morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania morning Hundoke. And today, Reverend Seti is presenting on this Sunday, the 26th of April 2026, or the 10th of March in the 14th year of Chongalguk. So thank you all for coming, and let's begin with a bow to our true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind. Chanji Champuringe. Chombo, Paro, and let's recite our family pledge both in Korean and English.
가존맨세 8. 천일국 주인 우리 가족은 참 사랑을 중심하고 천일국 시대를 맞이하여 절대 신앙, 절대 사랑, 절대 복종으로 신의 일제 이상을 이루어 지산천국과 천산천국의 해방권과 속방권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 8. Our family, the owner of Chongalguk, pledges having entered the era of Chongalguk to achieve the ideal of God and human beings united in love through absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience, and to perfect the realm of liberation and complete freedom in the kingdom of God on earth and in heaven by centering on true love. Thank you, and I'd like to share Mother's prayer again. Most precious Heavenly Parent, here at the World Centre, the 2,100 couples who have come into your embrace, the blessed couples, good men and women who have received the blessing through true parents, are pure waters expressing what was originally your ideal of creation. May their path as blessed pure waters of true love expand endlessly throughout the world, transcending nations, sweeping across the 5 oceans and 6 continents in praise of you, Heavenly Parent. May all the blessed couples who have received the blessing today and are now able to live in heaven on earth with you, Heavenly Parent, thanks to the true parent's earthly victory, give birth to many pure waters who realize your dream on earth and convey this news to the 8 billion people of the world. By participating in this blessing event, they will do their best to return the earth to its original state at the time of creation, so that all the terrible things that are happening around the world today, climate change, disease, and natural disasters that are causing this earth to suffer due to humanity's ignorance, will no longer threaten the lives of blessed families. The future of our blessed families is hopeful. Today, 2,100 blessed couples from around the world receive the marriage blessing. May they become blessed couples who fulfill their responsibilities, give joy and praise to our Heavenly Parent, experience Heavenly Parent's love on earth for all time, realize Heavenly Parent's dream here on earth and there in heaven, and live for eternity together with you, Heavenly Parent and true parents. Therefore, please accept this day with joy. May you receive glory. May the blessed couples fulfill their responsibilities and missions wherever they may be. I pray that these couples who have received the blessing, particularly in this era, in an environment wherein they can directly attend and live with Heavenly Parent, will form blessed families of whom history will be eternally proud, and who will inspire their descendants to be filial sons and daughters and loyal patriots. I pray and declare this in the name of the true parents. Arju. Thank you, and before we welcome Reverend Seti, I'd like to share a praise song, so please enjoy.
이 밤 우리의 어머님이 너무나도 그립습니다.
This night we truly miss our true mother. Let us offer this praise as we think about our mother.
한순간도 잊지 못해
through charisma and devotion, let us absolutely fulfill Mother's dream.
Thank you. And so let's welcome up Reverend Seti, who's meant to be here. I don't seem to see him. No, doesn't seem to be there. It's okay. No, that's okay. I'll, just in case, I always have something. Yeah, all right. I'll just share something that I have already. Okay. All right. This is the course to realize God's family. That's a message Mother gave on the 4th of February 2020. So I'll just go through this message. Okay. Yeah. So the course to realize God's family. Respected heads of state, dignitaries from home and abroad, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to welcome you all to World Summit 2020. We have gathered here today desiring true peace. We cannot speak of peace if it is just about an individual or one nation. If the more than 200 countries in the world were to move forward together in peace, we would not have any problems. But we cannot express in words the horrors of wars and conflicts that have arisen repeatedly, creating religious, racial, and ideological barriers throughout the 6,000 biblical years of history. So, yeah, reflecting back to 2020, the World Summit, it was certainly a time where everything seemed to be moving forward towards peace, but still, even then, many wars was still happening around the world, and still today it is as well. Many things have happened in the time from 2020 until today, 2026. The 2020 World Summit was around the time where the vision 2020 was completed and realized, and many progress towards the completion of Chongal Book were made. We have seen the effects of the problems with peace. As Mother says here, if the more than 200 countries in the world were to move forward together in peace, we would not have any problems. But all the countries are not moving together. They're all being more individual or focused on their own nation, just trying to realize their own desire, not really understanding the essence of history, that it's one of restoration, and these 6,000 years of biblical history have resulted in finally the true parents here, but also the world is certainly still in chaos. Continuing. In addition, because of human greed and selfishness, not only humanity, but also the environment is suffering. The reality is that we can no longer be onlookers. The future is no longer visible. What then must we do? We cannot become one through human-centered thoughts and ideologies. It has been 70 years since the founding of the UN, but there has not been a time when they, member countries, were able to unify around the UN agenda and bring results. They could not become one because they are placing the interests of their own country first. And this has been the problem ever since the fall. Human greed and selfishness, just thinking of our own benefit as opposed to really thinking about the whole world. And the statement there, Mother says, the future is no longer visible. And even though God has a plan, and our true parents have a plan, and the blessed families are witnessing hard, and we have the pure water missionaries, still the future is, even today, looks hard to see that it will become an era of peace, and it will come. Just we need to turn around this human-centered thinking. When we look at these examples, we can see it is crucial that we properly understand God, the creator and the origin of the universe. God had a dream. He created heaven and earth in his image. And lastly, he created a man and a woman who would become humanity's ancestors. Then he gave them a special responsibility. God was waiting until they matured, until they could see they had perfected themselves beautifully. But during their growth period, the humans became greedy. They thought, I can also become like God. This is greed. And greed is still a problem around the world. It's excessive desire. It is in some ways out of control, where the greed only wants to benefit a very few, and not really recognize, what our real purpose and origin's all about. God had a dream, and it's the realizing of this dream, that's taken thousands of years, and we only have the seed of that dream planted. Not even 1% of humanity understands God's dream, and of those people, the blessed families centered on our true parents that have an understanding, still there is a lot that needs to be understood and practiced, and up to us blessed families to be the model, the example, the embodiment, and to really share the truth about the essence of our Heavenly Parent. He truly is our parent, and we truly are His children. And of course, we were originally meant, after we matured, to be one with God, but in our immature state, as Mother says here, but during their growth period, the humans became greedy, and many problems are still with us today. And this is how the world we know today, a world that has no relation to God, came to be. The Creator is eternal. The beginning and the end are the same. He cannot ignore the principles with which He created. Because of that unexpected mistake by the first human ancestors, God had no choice but to initiate the providence of salvation. The providential requirements were so arduous that it took God 4,000 years to choose the people of Israel and to send His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. However, among Mary, who gave birth to Christ, the family of Zechariah, the Jews, the Israelites, none knew who Jesus was. And this is the tragedy of our human history, because of the ignorance brought about by the narrow, selfish thinking of humanity, that we don't realize how our life really is. And God cannot ignore the principles, as Mother says, and God had no choice but to initiate the providence of salvation, or the providence of restoration, or the providence using indemnity to reverse the steps of the fall, so that God could really work. And when we think that God is eternal, absolute, in some respects almighty, because created everything, but at the same time, will not prevent His children from carrying out their own choice. And so it took God over 4,000 years just to find the people. And we know that God put many plans in action at the same time, because He doesn't know who can be trusted, or who will follow through to completion a promise that they make towards God. Always in desperate times, people call God and say they will do this if God will save them. I remember in Brazil, one man promising God that he would crucify himself as Jesus did if God would save his son. And as it turned out, the son recovered, and every year from that time, I understand that this man would crucify himself in promise, fulfilling the promise that he made. and that's a unique case. And those were the unique cases that God needed to find so that he could trust people. But many times people would say that, and then after the result came, they would go back to their same way of living. Or if it didn't come, then doubt their own faith and even doubt that God is with us. So this really God has suffered because of us, and because of the nature brought about by the fall. God had to work one step forward, two steps back sort of style to be able to find the people he could trust, to be able to send his son Jesus. But also at the same time, the central chosen people had the surrounding nations and countries that were in a way ready to support if Israel was able to succeed in following Jesus. But as we know that Mother said there, however, among Mary, who gave birth to Christ, the family of Zechariah, the Jews, the Israelites, none knew who Jesus was. Because if they really did, as it even says in the Bible, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. They did not grasp Christ's essence. When God created the world, he created a man and a woman. Then Jesus, the only begotten Son, was born, and he had to find the only begotten daughter so they could be in the position of the human ancestors that God had waited so long for. But the environment did not allow this to happen, and Christ on the cross prophesied he would return. He said he would return and that he would hold the marriage supper of the Lamb. In heaven's providence, a central figure or chosen nation cannot play a role again after failing to fulfill the first responsibility received. And so, we know the situation, and we understand that Jesus came to realize the position of the only begotten Son, and he certainly did succeed where Adam could not. Jesus became the only begotten Son. He became one with our heavenly parent, and he desperately wanted to be blessed with the only begotten daughter. He wanted to receive God's loving recognition and embrace as the true parents, but that didn't happen. It didn't happen. And as Mother says here, and as we know, he prophesied he would return and he would hold the marriage supper of the Lamb. And as we know, that took place in 1960 amongst a lot of hard persecution, and yet still God was able to bring about. But then Mother says, in heaven's providence, a central figure or chosen nation cannot play a role again after failing to fulfill the first responsibility received. And the first responsibility for the chosen nation of Israel was to be able to follow Christ as the only begotten Son, and really realize God's will through Christ. But they didn't recognize who he was, so they were unable to fulfill the first responsibility received. So as we already know, the chosen nation of Korea rose up as the nation to replace Israel in being able to realize the marriage blessing of the Lamb. And in Korea's case, I believe their first responsibility was successful. True father inherited the mission. Our true mother was born. They were able to realize what Jesus wanted to do, and therefore start the course towards establishing the completion of God's dream. And so God is, because of that, is striving to see Korea united as a nation, and to see the chosen nation take the lead in sharing about true parents to the world. This is because they end up owing indemnity. We know through history what kind of indemnity the people of Israel had to suffer under. Heaven then had to find a new people that could give birth to the only begotten daughter who was not alive in Jesus's time. This is the Korean people, chosen after 2,000 years. In 1943, the only begotten daughter was born into a Christian household. However, Korea was still under Japanese occupation. At that time, Korea's liberation came in 1945. In 1950, the Korean War broke out. Korea had already divided into South Korea and North Korea in line with democracy and communism. So even though, as we know, mother was born, she was born into a war-torn country, a country occupied, and only a short few years, Korea was a whole nation, liberated and free. But then the Korean War, just a few years later, was divided, and war began, and still today, it's in a ceasefire, even though 76 years have passed, and still many things happen. We saw the Cold War end, but still this focus on individual nations' success over the benefit or the unity of all nations together. Yes, we have the situation where democracy doesn't have an answer, and communism doesn't have an answer to bringing about world peace. And we really do need our true parents. South Korea was not ready to defend itself against communist North Korea. How was it possible for the UN, which had been founded that year, to send soldiers from 16 nations to participate in the Korean War, to shed blood for a good cause? For God to follow the principle of creation that he himself established, he had to give the only begotten daughter a growth period as well. Only with that can humans be in the position of having fulfilled their portion of responsibility. How can we say human effort alone did this? It was a miracle that heaven accomplished. And as we know, yesterday was Anzac Day, and where we remembered all the soldiers of the war, including the soldiers that went to Korea. And some of us were lucky enough to visit the war memorial in Gapyeong, where the Australians and New Zealanders fought and were able to fend off the Chinese troops in time to enable the US military backup to be able to have it as a turning point to push back North Korea and consolidated the DMZ as a dividing line, and we remember those men and women who fought, and Mother is saying it's amazing how it was possible for so many people to come, nations to come to help to save the Korean people. And we know our true father was liberated from the Hunnam prison at that time, and also our mother was born and had to struggle with her grandmother and mother to the south, where she could be protected and raised and moved around a lot, to finally be able to meet true father in the south and carry out the holy marriage. And it's true, it's not through human effort alone. It was a miracle that heaven was able to realize amongst the tragedy happening on a global level. Continuing. Therefore, I knew from an early age who God is. God, the Creator, is humanity's heavenly parent. Humanity has become ignorant, so to show that God is our heavenly parent, in 1960, I entered into holy marriage with Sun Myung Moon, the returning Messiah. But those who formed the Christian foundation were not able to create the proper environment. As the true parents, beginning at the lowest position, the fastest way and greatest blessing that can bring humanity back to the bosom of the Creator, our heavenly parent, is the blessing ceremony. And we of course know this because we're blessed, and we know that this is the fastest way. And I'm sure when we joined, we were so full of the realization of, wow, the Messiah is here, the holy marriage has taken place, the future is bright, and we were running forward to carry out our responsibility by following and attending our true parents. And really was at the lowest position, and our true parents really suffered to bring that starting point. And we know that everyone can return to the bosom of our Creator, as Mother says there, our heavenly parent, and it's only through the blessing ceremony. And this is our responsibility to share the blessing we received by helping others recognize that this is the only way to bring about the realization of our heavenly parents' dream, is to once and for all sever the satanic lineage from our lineage, through the grace of our heavenly parent, through our true parents, and through the blessing, truly enter into the lineage of heaven. This is why many blessed families reside in the world's 190 countries. Furthermore, after True Father's ascension, I proclaim Foundation Day a new era and a new history. In heaven's presence, I made a promise. Even now, heaven is awakening those who do not understand properly and can neither see nor hear that God, the Creator, is humanity's heavenly parent. Therefore, for the past 7 years, I've been working hard to realize my pledge to offer at least 7 nations on various continents these nations will become countries that attend our Heavenly Parent. And that was the victory of Vision 2020 and the victory proclaimed at the World Summit. And Mother was able to go and realize these 7 nations, and they became Heavenly Africa or Heavenly Korea or Heavenly Japan. And these nations began to understand our Heavenly Parent. Thus, in 2019, I proclaimed the establishment of Chong Il Guk. You are all citizens of Chong Il Guk that God can be with. As we hold World Summit 2020 today, we are newly commencing the 7th year of Chong Il Guk. For 6,000 years, our Heavenly Parent has taken a path of suffering to find his lost sons and daughters. I will keep on marching forward toward Heavenly Parent's dream of the world's, at that stage, 7.6 billion people, all attending him as our parent. I would like to say this. For the past 6,000 years, humanity has been like orphans, parentless. And so Mother is realizing her promise, and we have Chong Il Guk, and at that time it was the 7th year, and now we're in the 14th year of Chong Il Guk, and we need to recognize how this is an amazing turning point for humanity, and still we need to help everyone recognize who our Heavenly Parent is, and instill the desire or reawaken the dream, their original heart, to return to their original parent. And so to do this, the blessing enables orphans to be returned or embraced by their original parents. Humans have been living in a self-centered way, so they could not see the whole, and thus have been creating many problems. Today's climate issue is one of these problems. If we leave this as it is, what is going to happen? The earth would have no future. Even now, if we can become one in attending our Heavenly Parent, ask for his wisdom and enable him to work, we can restore the earth to the beautiful state from when God created it. Let us ask God how we can do that. Please guide us, and we will do as you say. I wish to encourage this kind of movement. Really, we need to recognize that we've made mistakes as a humanity, and we need to turn to our Heavenly Parent, who's been waiting for us to embrace us, and to ask us how to fix the world. God has already given us true parents, and that's the starting point to the change of the blood lineage, and also the starting point for understanding our Heavenly Parent's heart and essence, and understanding the essence of Jesus when he came 2,000 years ago, and to help us really bring this world back to the beautiful state from when God created it, and both spiritually and physically. And if we leave the earth as it is, then the climate issue, as Mother says, will continue to grow more and more. And we need to work as a global community together, centered on true parents. All nations' problems are the same. If those in every nation become our Heavenly Parents' children, no more wars or conflicts will arise. No longer will we have large and small countries. We are learning many lessons from the coronavirus outbreak. Heaven will not bless human beings' self-centeredness. The only way to receive heaven's mercy and love is to become one with True Mother, the only begotten daughter, who will guide you to the Creator, our Heavenly Parent. Distinguished guests and leaders here today, now we know who God the Creator is. We also know what the mission of the Messiah is. Now, what must we do? What do we need to do? We need to take the path to become true filial sons, filial daughters, and patriots in front of our Heavenly Parent. Please remember that this is the only way and the shortest path to solve all the problems of the world today. That all of you who have gathered at this World Summit will be leading players who realize Heavenly Parent's dream and humanity's wish of creating the kingdom of heaven on earth by saving the world through peace is my hope. And that's pretty much the end of the message, of today's reading. And Mother is really desperately pleading for the people there, us blessed families, and the ambassadors for peace, and the dignitaries and leaders of movements and countries, to really realize Heavenly Parent's dream. And we need to recognize we can only do that by following our True Mother, who represents our Heavenly Parent's heart, and really understands God completely, because our Heavenly Parent and our true parents are one. And our Father in spirit world and our Mother here on earth are working as one. And it's up to us as blessed families to also work as one together with them. And that's our responsibility. And that concludes my message today. So thank you, and I hope we are encouraged to work together and to really help people recognize that it's the marriage blessing is the turning point, and it's up to us to do our best, as always, to inspire the future leaders and to continually make the conditions and heart to realize God's dream within ourselves, our families, our community, and the world. So thank you. I'll just stop sharing that at the moment. So thank you for listening to the message. I hope everyone can take some insights or inspirations or from the message. So thank you, and open up to anyone who'd like to make a comment or share any reflection. You'd like to share something, Jean-Yves? Need to unmute, sorry.
Yeah, yesterday after the service, the morning service, I went to the war memorial in Litcombe, and I saw a gerb of flowers there in Bocapion. So I prayed in the four corners of the monument there. And then in the meantime, somebody was praying there. Somebody was shouting, sitting on the bench there, screaming, and he was just kind of like possessed, and kept on screaming. So I went there, past him afterwards, and I said, "Good morning." And then he said, "What?" I thought I was going to get angry. I said, "Yeah, good morning. You know, it's Anzac Day today." And he stopped completely. He completely stopped. So I thought, is this kind of the spirit of the Anzac there at that time? Maybe his parent, grandparent, maybe were but he had been drinking all night, right? So maybe he was celebrating Anzac Day in his own way. He got possessed. And he completely got cleared up, when I said to him, this is Anzac Day today. So actually just maybe his ancestors were there somehow. So that's my experience yesterday after the Anzac experience for the day. Another thing I was thinking is that true parents, we hear it so much about the word true parents, and when you keep on repeating things, sometimes you lose the essence of it. When you hear it the first time, maybe when you join, maybe we're more inspired sometimes than we are now because it's been repeated. Something repeated all the time loses the salt or the essence of its meanings. And listening to Father's speech again yesterday, I felt very strongly that actually the core of the restoration is the true parents. And everything is in there, of course, the fall of man. And the relationship, he was talking for a long, long time about Adam and Eve relationship in very complicated and very detailed way. It's related to the whole cosmos, the universe, and all the numbers and everything. And at the end, he said the parents is actually the universe as the most important thing. How do you connect heavenly parent and true parents together in ourselves when we say the word, or do we incarnate that word? Are we the incarnation of it, or just a reflection of something somebody said, and you repeat? So that's my experience last night in thinking about that. This morning when I woke up, I saw I came back very strongly that we can lose the salt and the essence of things. That's why there's wars. That's why there's all these things, because you lose the essence. Like this man in Brazil, for example, he went, like you say, the experience of the man who crucified himself because he wanted to save his son. So he needed a miracle to, maybe if he prayed beforehand and without asking for a miracle, but prayed sincerely to God about it in a different way, perhaps he would have had the same result. Like Jesus went to the cross many ways because he had to make miracles. If people believed in him, he didn't have to make miracles. He fell in the position of John the Baptist. And so that's the sincerity of our hearts. That's why it's Hunto K is important, and what's happening in every Friday night and every day, sometimes for some bit in the midnight. That sincerity, if you lose the essence, then we don't feel like doing something. You don't know the meaning of it. We lose the essence of it. That's why that's where we lose the motivations and the desire to do something, because you lost the meaning, the essential meaning of it, the centrality. The very centrality, the central spirit in us is either going in that direction or not. So if we can sway our central spirit in us to bow and to totally surrender to the meaning and the depth of the meaning of the true parents, and things can change. I believe that can be the turning point of changing everything, even in our movement or in the world in general. This is what's happening in America now, in the world as well, is the same thing. Whether you don't have the parental heart, you have more archangelic kind of heart, and the religious heart in a way. Trump is being blessed by the religious leaders in America in doing his work, and so many people are praying for him. On the other hand, if he doesn't really surrender to true parents, then his position as a savior of the world, like he's trying to do, will not come to fruition 100%. So that's the true mother almost came there at one stage, but then she was stopped. She was put in jail. So she was almost going in that way, that direction, making world meetings with the world leaders, bring peace in the world. It didn't happen because the somehow faith wasn't enough, or conditions were not enough. How can we change that so that true mother can go back to her position and reconnect with all the world leaders and bring peace in the world? I mean, that's a way to hope for true mother's liberation from that situation in the moment in Korea. So how can we set the conditions for that?
Thank you, Jean-Yves. Yes, Mary, go ahead.
Thanks, Jean-Yves. During the speech, I was just thinking, and plus the fact it was Anzac Day yesterday, I was just thinking about Douglas MacArthur. He wanted to go into North Korea and remove communism from Korea completely, but then he was stopped by the Harry Truman, and he ended up losing his position for subordination because he was criticizing Truman, but that could have changed the whole historical dynamic, Yeah, I think Truman was afraid of the war escalating with Russia and China, and so he was trying to contain it from getting bigger. But maybe it was God's will that then God would have been with MacArthur had if it was God's will for him to go into North Korea at that time. So I really don't know. Anyway, it came to my mind during the speech. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's always it would have been great if it could have happened, but it didn't.
It didn't. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Actually, it's that time now to offer our unison prayer. So I'll just bring up the screen. There it is. So let's pray together. Thank you. do, do. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming every morning, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. So have a great day, and bye-bye.